I was at a dinner party with a publisher. It was in my honour, and the book had just come out, and she's saying, yes, you know, we're looking for reviews, and the book is about a man who has to find 2 kidneys for his daughter. It's called The Donor here. And she said, you know, it's a real shame that, that you haven't donated a kidney. And she held my gaze. I'm thinking, well, I don't think I've got time. I don't think I've got time this week, you know. And you start wondering, you know, how much do people do to actually promote themselves, and what length do they go to? You know, she was just saying, well, we just need a hook. We need a hook. Have you ever, you know, have you got kidney disease? You know, please have kidney disease. I'm sorry, I haven't. It's about a single father called Will Marion, and he has 2 daughters. They're twins, and their mother left when they were babies, so he's brought them up completely on his own. When they're 16 years old, they're diagnosed with kidney disease, and it's incurable. They have to have a transplant. So they go on dialysis machines, both of them, and go on the waiting list for a donor, which can take years and years and years with the NHS. So there's a real risk that his daughters will die. So it's about this guy who's pretty indecisive and has never really gotten anything done, having to find 2 kidneys for his daughters. Obviously, if he gives them both one of his, he'll die. And that's one of the options that he looks at, suicide. And he goes through a journey of what can he do? He tries to find the mother. He looks into whether he should buy one on the black market, which is about £40,000 that he has to raise to buy one, he's thinking, from the Philippines. And so all these, I suppose it's kind of like Sophie's Choice with kidneys. I haven't read the book, I've seen the film, and it's just one of the most moving films that I've ever seen. And now that I'm at that point in my life where I have 2 children, it interested me just how difficult and awful it would have to be if you were ever in a position of having to decide which child you could save or which child you could give anything, really. So it wasn't so much from the film, and it's certainly not as grim and bleak a book as Sophie's Choice. But that element of how you love your children and how you love them differently and what you would do for them is the central theme of the book. To not try to be too clever. I think if your writing isn't you, then it shows, and it's. And unfortunately, some people are just so boring that they shouldn't write. I think you do have to have something about you that's interesting, the way that you talk, the way that you see things. I think you have to empathise with people. And so I don't have tips about, you know, sitting down at a desk and, you know, the sorts of practical things. It's more about an honesty about how you see the world. And if it's something that fascinates you every time you walk down the street, you're thinking, ooh, what's that person doing and why? And if you're looking at ways to describe it and ways of thinking of it, then I think you're a writer. And I suppose it's just about the honesty of a voice, which took me years to do. For a long time I tried to be very clever, and it all just came across as absolute bollocks. It was horrible. And as soon as I just sat down and thought, I'm just going to write as me, as my, you know, not the character, but just the way that I think about things, and not be too ashamed that I'm not incredibly clever and I'm not going to say something that's going to change the world. As soon as I did that, it happened. And I think that's what I would advise writers to do, to just try and be honest.